Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Forever United TV and welcome along to another live show updating you on all of the Manchester United news. Now, I've got loads to get through tonight. I wanted to start the show straight out by trying to just set the tone in this here. We are stuck. Manchester United, we know it. I think we just have to face reality. I sadly have to. I don't want to, but I'm sort of bringing myself around. Well, there's no football on. I will admit that is a bit easier because I'm not having to watch these players. But Manchester United right now, we have to be honest, we are stuck with certain players. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to get into that and go into detail as what has been said and what our opportunities are of certain players missing. They've been missing all season, or leaving Manchester United. But that doesn't stop the incomings with Manchester United. And there's a lot of news going around about possibilities of players coming into Manchester United. Is Viktor Gyokeres dead or not? Frankfurt's stance on Ekitike, which is good news for Manchester United. A Brian Mbeumo update also for everybody. And I'm going to try and lift the mood for everybody and just calm the waters, because it does seem like a negative vibe is spreading around. I probably didn't help earlier on by saying that Tom Heaton's signing was probably good news if we started him in the team ahead of ONANA. Maybe I was having a little dig there. But ONANA is a big problem for me, as everybody knows. I'm never going to hide away from that. But Manchester United right now are struggling to move players on simply because of their contracts and the instalment payments. Manchester United paid over 120 million for Rasmus HOJLUND and ONANA, and we're struggling to get rid of them. I'm not surprised. But one thing I won't do, like I've always said and reiterated nearly every single show, is blame the current Manchester United structure for what is happening with them players. They weren't their signings. They were made under previous regimes. We know that signings like that are never going to happen again, and sadly we've just got to see out a bit more time to see the back end of the dead wood and the players that aren't good enough. The full update on them in just a moment, but I did want to start with the Gyokeres situation, because that's just come about now over the last half an hour, and a lot of people quoting Fabrizio Romano's latest outing and how he explained the situation. But there's also another one out from Alcaraz who's explained it as well. So Romano has said Gyokeres has not rejected Manchester United. The breakdown of this story and what really is the real picture and what has been said, and this is probably the best way that I could describe it, to be honest, and this is how Romano has also described the situation. Manchester United have long anticipated that if Arsenal make a move for Viktor Gyokeres with his Champions League aspirations, he would likely steer towards them. However, United remain keen on Gyokeres, and the player is open to joining. His desire to play in the Champions League does not equate to a rejection for Manchester United. I reported before that this is why Viktor Gyokeres was probably really miffed off that his preferences and his personal sort of look on the whole situation was made public. I used the explanation at the time of saying, well, this is Manchester United in the Premier League, you better get used to it, because this is what happens. If you're linked to any big club in the Premier League, particularly Manchester United, then your news and everything about you is aired quite regularly, whether you like it or not, and just deal with it, mate. If he chose Arsenal over Manchester United, I made my thoughts very clear. Sling your hook, see you later. There is a little bit of a backward step situation happening here with Viktor Gyokeres now. And that is that I feel what was tried to be put out was he wants Champions League football, first and foremost. And that is it. He would like to play in England again. And the only team really interested or in a position to go for him in that area is Arsenal. Like Romano said, if United were in the Champions League, this deal probably would have already been done. United would have had the Champions League money to make the sale. Manchester United wouldn't have an issue in convincing Viktor Gyokeres. In fact, he would have jumped on the next plane and gone to Manchester United, is the word coming out, if United were in the Champions League. He's 27 and he wants to be in the Champions League. And with no guarantee of it coming next season, then it's hard for him to make that call. And he would always go with Champions League first. Not Arsenal first. Champions League first. So when we compare Man United to Arsenal and whether the player would prefer Arsenal or United, it isn't that. It is basically Manchester United don't have that competition. But then again, you could always bring up what we've also said, which is Ruben Amorim has said that any player coming to Manchester United simply just to play in a certain competition is not a player we would buy. And the fact that Sporting have actually set the price tag at a guaranteed £68 million now kind of puts Man United out of the reckoning anyway. So when I ask the question, is Viktor Gyokeres on or is Viktor Gyokeres off? This will drag out. If this drags out, that's the only chance United have of ever getting their hands on him, because things will change. If they cannot move him on and nobody goes with that price, then he will start to look elsewhere. And that's, I think, where United will come into it. As of now, with Juventus looking to sell somewhat 6 or 7 players to fund a deal to get Viktor Gyokeres in, that might be a likely destination. But he does prefer the Premier League. And if Arsenal do commit to him, he's gone. If they don't, United might actually be back in it, because word is he's not as keen on moving to Italy. And then we're running out of clubs, because he's not going to go to the Saudi Pro League, and he's not going to go. If he's not going to go to Italy, then there's only one club really significantly in for him. But then again, like I said, Manchester United don't really have the money to spend 68 million on Viktor Gyokeres, and that is the problem. And obviously, would you even take him at this point? Is it a move the Manchester United fans would accept at this point? The poll is up on that now, everyone, so get involved in that. So let me know, would you still take Viktor Gyokeres at United off the back of what I've just said there and the situation being explained in a little bit more detail? Are you not convinced by that? Is that just a backward step and trying to cover the mistake that was made before? Which way do you see it? Get your comments in along with your votes in that poll, everybody, because I think it's important that we like to get the full picture out there and everything that's going on. And it is turning into a bit of a minefield at the moment. So my brother has been talking, obviously, as we spoke this morning, about where United's aspirations are. Negotiations dragging on a little bit doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think he's alluding to the Bryan Mbeumo situation. Before we move on to the ONANA and Rasmus HOJLUND situations, I just wanted to update you on the situation with Bryan Mbeumo and where we're actually at with that. Bear with me 1 second, everybody. I'm just going to bring that up now. So again, there was an update on this, and it was said to be a positive update on Bryan Mbeumo and his situation. And it pretty much, from Rudy Galetev, just kind of told us what we already knew, I think, anyway, but you tell me. Manchester United have had encouraging talks with Brentford about signing Mbeumo, with just a small gap remaining on the fixed fee. The player has already agreed personal terms. I'm sure I've said that before. I'm sure we have. But yeah, I'm still never, ever concerned. And I've said this. I've never been concerned with Man United not getting Bryan Mbeumo. I'm very, very confident. The fact that nothing else has been said regarding the situation with Bryan Mbeumo for anybody else coming in still fills me with confidence that this deal is going to get done. We just have to be patient. How much longer? Come on, United. But just to bring back up there Omar Barad and what he said, we want to move along swiftly. We want to get deals done as quickly as possible, but obviously if deals are taking time, it's just because we're negotiating, and sometimes negotiating is good because it means that you're getting the better deal. You're not jumping straight in and accepting the first deal on the table. United have done this before, and this is what we're talking about now with the likes of Rasmus HOJLUND and Andre Onana. There was never any two in or throw-in. It was like, yes, thank you, bang, there you go, we'll pay that money. It's ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. But the story regarding Rasmus HOJLUND and obviously Bryan Mbeumo, obviously, and the situation with Andre Onana is very, very clear right now. With Andre Onana, I think Manchester United right now, well, I'll just read a piece out here now. Amid ongoing reports linking United with a move for Emi Martinez this summer, reports understand that Andre Onana is expected to stay at the club this summer. It is believed that Andre Onana has been working hard to convince his fellow countryman Bryan Mbeumo to sign for the Reds. No excuse whatsoever in terms of why you would keep Andre Onana, that is. Onana is thought to have held a meeting last week with officials where he was reassured that he shall remain at the club beyond this summer. And now this has been run by the MEN, and of course it was Samuel Luckhurst of the MEN who broke the news originally that Onana has had these meetings and is staying at Manchester United. Look, at the end of the day, there's nobody coming in for Onana. And I've said this all along. Look, I'm a realist and I understand. I don't want to start making it sound like I've got an issue with ONANA. Everybody knows I already have. But for the sake of this video and just saying it as it is and where we're actually at with the situation, Andre ONANA is not wanted. And that's a problem for United. He could still be at the football club, but not playing games for Man United next season. And that, I think, is probably more important to bring up. I think this is more important right now because Manchester United are still going to go for a goalkeeper. According to Football Insider, Emiliano Martinez continues to push for an Aston Villa exit. The shot-stopper did an emotional farewell to the Villa fans after the last home match of the Premier League season, and it is claimed that his stance on an exit from Old Trafford has not changed. An exit from Old Trafford has changed. Martinez thought to be a player that Manchester United are looking at, despite ONANA looking set to remain in Manchester. So even with ONANA there are still talks United could push ahead if the deal and the price is right for Emi Martinez. So don't be too upset. We are stuck with Andre ONANA, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be playing every game. Look, let's be honest. If Andre ONANA is sold, we're not going to make too much money on him. It's not going to bring us anything significant in. Yeah, we could maybe replace him with another goalkeeper, but the keepers United are actually looking at the moment anyway are keepers of a lot cheaper, more than half the price of what Andre ONANA is. And that, I think, is something that we need to remember as well. Because even if we sell Bayende, we sell Vitek, we've got more than enough money to bring in another keeper anyway. Heaton has signed a new contract to be United's third choice. United will bring in a number 2, which is seen by club sources, or seen by reports from club sources, to be the challenge to ONANA, softening the blow in to say, this is the next goalkeeper, and you're not going to be the number 1 next season. Not all of the time anyway, for starters. I think that's important to remember in all of this. It really is. And what we've got to say with everything that is actually... what we've got to say in this is that right now, again, it just puts everything in focus for Manchester United fans. Just to remember that this is new Manchester United. It's a new management team, and everything that we're talking about are problems from before and not the problems since this new management team took over. Yes, the big problem right now is Ruben Amorim, believe it or not, because he has got a lot to prove, because he's the one that's really failed. But he's failed in trying to produce the football that he wants to in his system with these former players. There is a report going around, and I think even TalkSport have jumped onto it as well, about Garnacho consistently arguing with Ruben Amorim on the training ground about tactics and formations. You're a 20-year-old. You just need to get on with it. You need to just get knuckled down and play football. How can a 20-year-old academy player be arguing with the manager about formations and positions? It's a wrong attitude. We need characters at Manchester United right now. Look, Rasmus HOJLUND, just on him, he is admired by AC Milan, Inter Milan and Napoli, and that's a definite. So this isn't dead yet, but the word coming out in every single conversation on Rasmus HOJLUND right now, and Alfredo Padula is the latest to come out with a report on Rasmus, is that he more than likely will be a difficult sale for Manchester United because of what we owe on him. The Athletic have ran the story saying that he wants to fight for his place at Manchester United. We know about that. He wants to fight for his place. Like, it doesn't mean that he's going to be playing every week. And I think, like what we're looking at here, I think really, worst case scenario is neither of these players leave Manchester United this summer. We want them gone. But I think the biggest issue that we've all got is these guys playing every single week and being reliant on ONANA and Rasmus. But we're having to be reliant on them because there's nobody else to replace them. So if we do bring in other players in their positions, they might not actually be playing for United. Nobody's going down on the fact that we have got a real opportunity here to sell these players and get good money for them. No, we all know the situation. Manchester United owe too much money on both players. And combined, they are a massive, massive loss for Manchester United. But financially, it's difficult for United right now. And obviously, you would look at the situation if it was in the Champions League. I don't even think this would be an issue or being talked about. I still don't think it's going to be a problem. The fact that they're still there really, really annoys me. because it just means that Manchester United are stuck with the previous idiots' work that they did to bring these two players in without properly recruiting them. The fact that we turned down certain players that were on the market after these two is even more embarrassing for Manchester United. And I just feel like right now, the priority for Manchester United are the problems. The attitudes of ONANA and Rasmus HOJLUND compared to Sancho, Garnacho, Marcus Rashford, it's night and day. And I'm never going to have a go at ONANA. I'm never going to have a go at Rasmus HOJLUND for the same reasons I have for Garnacho. I'm convinced of that. I think they have got the right mentality. They're just not good enough. And it's poor recruitment. But the attitudes of the forward players that I've just mentioned there, them three, the three amigos, Garnacho, Rashford and Jadon Sancho, that's a different ball game. They're the priorities for United. And just to put it into perspective again, look at the workload in front of United. They're dealing with the crap management of before in bringing in the players that we're talking about here, ONANA and Rasmus HOJLUND, for the stupid money that they are on. And then we're dealing with homegrown players. Yes, homegrown players who have been through United's academy, who are supposed to know what it's all about to be a Manchester United player, causing massive issues for the manager. Then you've got Sancho as well on top of that, who's got another attitude problem. All of that, while trying to build and rebuild a Manchester United side, that I think right now is where we should be focusing. And that's where, if there is any anger, I think that should calm it a little bit. Because United cannot just get rid of players. I think we may have to take little bits of losses here and there. I mentioned this with Anthony the other day. If United really want to move forward, get as much money as you possibly can for these players. You may have to accept a bit of a loss. So this is where I feel if you're going to sell Garnacho, make sure that he's sold. Someone's only going to pay what they want for Garnacho, for what they think he's worth. And it isn't going to be for Manchester United's valuation. I can pretty much guarantee it. So this, I think, is where Manchester United's priority needs to be. Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Antony. Them four, ONANA and HOJLUND, I would love for both to be gone. Simply because they're not good enough for Manchester United. And I expect more. They're not an issue like them other four, though. Need to make that very, very clear right now. I haven't got a problem with their attitudes. I just don't think they're ever going to be as good. And you know, if you've played football, if you've played in the game, and there are players on your team that are constantly letting you down, that are not good enough, it causes problems even if you are admitting that it isn't a problem. And you know what I mean by that. It's like, yes, come on, mate, you've got this. We're dead pally, we're friends in training. I go and score the brace, but then Andre ONANA drops 2 clangers and costs us the 3 points. And we're not getting into the competitions we should be. I've done my job, and this player's let me down and let the side down. Rasmus has got one on a plate, and he blooms it over. That could have won us the game and got us 3 points. Let us down. That, I think, creeps into every mindset of every single player. And no matter what level it is, and it's always going to be a problem because you're always not thinking the right way at that point. And then you start to move from there and you start to look at the obvious. And it comes down to real football decisions then. Not the nightmare that we've got now with all of the idiots that we're talking about here that have got a bad attitude. We're dealing with football problems in Andre ONANA and Rasmus HOJLUND. Nobody else has got the issues that United have got with player attitude issues like we've got with the amount of players that are causing problems. Nobody's dealing with that. I think just remember that before we go fully in on what is happening this summer. And just accept that, you know what, we are trying to move in the right direction here. And the likes of Cunha coming in and Bumo coming in and players like this, United pushing for Ekitike, these types of players, they are going to make United better. But it is going to take time to rinse ourselves of the absolute shit. And even if them players are quality, it's still shit because it's not working for Ruben. And there's only so much that they can do in one summer. And at the moment, nobody's gone. So, yes, let's hope that we do start to move things forward here. In terms of Omar Barada saying, does he think that Manchester United can win the league in 2028? He says yes. I say no. I think it's a 5 or 6 year plan. I've always said that anyway. But look, does he think that we will win it? It's like, can we win it? Yes, we can win it. Do you think we'll win it? No one asked that question. He'll say no. It's, do you think we can win it? Yeah, if everyone turns up and all of these players start playing to their potential and listening to Ruben Amorim, of course we can win the league. But you know that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think it's the wrong question. Can we win it? Yes. Do you think we'll win it? No. It's straightforward, isn't it? And that's where we're at with it. A few stories just popping out, actually. No, I need to give you some comment section time, don't I? So let's have a quick look. We've got a lot to get through tonight, so there's going to be a ton of stories piling in, everybody. So keep your comments flooding in, everybody. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Let me know what you're thinking regarding all of these players, the forward line, the issues with Rasmus and ONANA, the overall problem that Manchester United have actually got, I think, is what we're looking at here and talking about. Quickly for the poll, creeping up to around about 1,000 votes on the poll right now. Would you still like to have Gyokeres at Manchester United? 68% of you are still going with yes on that one. Thank you for everyone else voted. Get your comments in on it as well. Sancho and Rashford are too inconsistent to be in our team. Garnacho is a good player, but there is a personality clash between him and Amorim. He's an alright player. All of them are good players. And I think in the end, it does come down to attitude, mentality. Are you willing to work for this manager? And the answer has clearly been no for a lot of these players. If Sancho doesn't appear at Carrington after the break, would it be in breach of contract, being, as he's saying, he'll never come back? Sancho will come back to Manchester United because he's never met Ruben Amorim. He's never had a problem with Ruben Amorim. And if he's going to come back after the issues he had with Ten Hag, I can't see why he wouldn't come back to Manchester United this summer with Ruben Amorim there. He will come back because that's what he's contractually obligated to do. He has to come back to Manchester United in pre-season. Sadly, we will see him on Carrington training ground again, but it's the necessary that is in front of us right now. And I get he may even feature on tour. We don't know yet. I don't see anything happening, but there is a lot of movement on Jadon Sancho at the moment and a lot of noises. So hopefully we could be looking at our first outing in him. Now that would be a big one for United. It would be a big one. Fred says, my problem with this is we don't get in replacements for ONANA and HOJLUND. They will play most games, and look what happened last season, 15th. Look, to break down Rasmus HOJLUND and Andre ONANA, they came in 2 seasons ago, and the 2 seasons they played are the worst season in our history and second worst season in our history in the Premier League. I'm not blaming them both, but in 2 key positions like that, this is why I always went on about the number 9 and number 1 being the priorities for the summer. Them 2 positions are key because they can undo every system in the world when it comes to results. If you drop clangers, the amount of clangers that Andre ONANA does, it could just lose you points left, right and centre. If you miss sitters and can't control the ball the way that Rasmus HOJLUND does, it doesn't matter what the midfield is doing. It doesn't matter what chances are being created. You're still not going to win games with them there. That has been proven. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, it does look difficult, but as long as Man United do bring in replacements, then we will be okay, I feel. Replacements are people to to play against them, as in competition for that place. They cannot have it all to themselves, is what I'm saying. I think that is key in this, very key. I mean, look, a lot of people don't think that Jadon Sancho will be allowed to come back. Why wouldn't he, though? That's the thing. He did last summer. He might come back again this summer. We're not going to know until the pre-season starts again. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll start to see players coming back. We'll start to see players come back off their holidays and their breaks. And then we're going to know a lot more as to what is going on and how this is all going to develop. Hopefully, there is news before we actually get to that point. Actually, just on the striker situation right now, before we move on to Hugo Ekitike, Manchester United have held positive and constructive talks with Dusan Vlahovic. The striker has made it clear he views Old Trafford as a dream destination. Juventus are open to selling him for as low as £21.3 million. He reportedly earns 320 grand a week. If Dusan Vlahovic's dream destination is Manchester United, that is going to have to come down over half of that value for him to be a Manchester United player. Dusan Vlahovic at Manchester United for 20 million quid on 150 grand a week wages. That is a deal that Manchester United, I think, will do. But I don't think it will be the only deal. I think they will obviously look at others as well. I think if United could get Vlahovic at a cheap price, I still don't think he'd be the number one striker. But again, the situation tells you that we're not in position to buy Vlahovic right now. It would be a great acquisition for a club that's already doing well and just needs a bit of depth. It's a fantastic sign if you can negotiate that wages down and get him for that price. He's at the right age, he's got the experience, and if you're in the competitions like the Champions League, Europa League, or you're fighting up there at the top of the table in your relative country, then he's a great signing. It just doesn't fit Manchester United right now. That's all. I do think that he would be good at United behind somebody else. And we haven't even got that somebody else yet. I don't want Vlahovic to be a number one. I would love him in Rasmus HOJLUND's position. But this goes back to what we're saying again. The work that Manchester United have got to do to sieve out all of these players that are just in the way right now. Because let's be clear, they are in the way, aren't they? They're just stopping other players coming through. We could sign Vlahovic and another striker this summer if we got Rasmus HOJLUND on a decent deal. We could make that transfer happen. Rasmus could be gone. ONANA could be gone. But we didn't. We bought them for stupid money and have straddled ourselves with so much debt on these players that it is impossible, and which is why I ran with the show and I did the way I did at the start. It's impossible for us to move these players. And there's been many reports saying that Manchester United have got several players that are interested in coming to Manchester United. But there's no room. We cannot sell the players. And that's why we're stuck. That's why we're stuck right now, because we can actually make improvements to this team, but there is so many players in the way. You could just roll them off, issues and differences that are there at Manchester United right now, that really, if they weren't, we could be a different force altogether. I do think it's going to come down now. Personally, I've seen someone put up a team before, and I thought, you know what? That actually probably is going to be Manchester United's side next season. I'll read it out, actually. So the team was 4 signings in, which was Emi Martinez, it was Hugo Ekitike, it was Brian Mbeumo, and it was Matheus Cunha, and everything else was the same. It was De Ligt, Joro and Leacher at the back. It was Dorgu and Ahmad at wing-back, and it was Bruno and Manuel Ugarte in midfield. I can actually see that. The reality is starting to kick home. 3 to 4 players for Manchester United this summer is probably the max we can go with where we're at right now, with what we're coming up against. Next summer, that will all completely change for Manchester United, because you'll be saying goodbye to the likes of Casemiro, you'll be saying goodbye to the likes of Harry Maguire, automatically leaving Manchester United, and some near £500,000 in wages again off Manchester United's books. That United could utilise with them 2 players gone. That is absolutely huge, because let's not forget, the PSR payments run for the lifetime of the contract of the player. So Casemiro we're still paying for in this last year now, and that PSR has gone. So this is why Manchester United have got the room when players leave. So when Casemiro leaves, even if he leaves on a free, it means United have broke even. He's fulfilled his contract and he's gone. So that whatever it is a season, some near like 18-20 million that United are paying out every single year. It's probably more of his wages actually. Sorry, it's probably going to be around about the 22 million pound mark that we're paying every single year for Casemiro. When it comes to that package, that will be gone. Harry Maguire's wage of just under 200 grand a week gone as well. We don't owe anything on Maguire as it stands at the moment, because he's now seen out his last year and that transfer is paid for. And people don't look at that. The extension was the 6th year for Harry Maguire. So we're now not paying money for Harry Maguire like we would have been the previous 5 seasons. That's how PSR works. So if Casemiro goes and Maguire goes next season, there's 2 senior players out of the way and space starts to open up. By then you'd expect Manchester United to to really have got deals in place for Sancho, Rashford and Antony, and Garnacho would have been gone. And then you can start to look at ONANA and Rasmus HOJLUND and move them on next summer. And it starts to get a little bit better. You start to clear the deadwood out. The space starts to open up. Last summer, we did a good job in moving players on. This summer, obviously, we are struggling at the moment, but you've got rid of your Lindelofs of this world. Eriksen's gone. Evans has gone as well. If a few more go like we're talking about here, then we have got off to a decent start in the first 2 years. And everybody said this is a 5 to 6 year plan. Nobody was under the illusion that this was going to be a quick fire job for Manchester United, and we were going to get through this in the space of 2 to 3 years. It's going to be a long road for Manchester United, and that, I think, is what we all just need to recognise and remember more than anything. It's not easy what we're doing right now. By the way, Frankfurt have come out and said they will not stand in the way of a Hugo Ekitike transfer. Now, he is Manchester United's hottest prospect right now in terms of a striker coming in at this football club. You can talk about Dusan Vlahovic. You could talk about him possibly being an option for Manchester United. But you could also say that Manchester United really don't rate him that highly in terms of the list of strikers. They would prefer Gyokeres, and they would prefer to take Ekitike after him. Vlahovic, I think, is a last-ditch option for Manchester United. I do. I'm not saying Vlahovic can't hit it off at United or do better than Rasmus HOJLUND. I think he will, but he doesn't have the pace that Ruben Amorim likes in his profile of striker. You're going further and further down the pecking order here, I think, in terms of what Manchester United would want from a striker. Thank you, everybody, for the likes on the video. As it stands already, well over 300. Let's get that up, everyone. Make sure that you do hit that hit the subscribe button as well. We passed 85k this morning, which was absolutely brilliant. Again, we're already marching through to the next mark. We want 90k before the start of the season. Thank you, everybody who has already subscribed to the channel. But if you haven't and you like to be kept up to date with all of the news and it broke to you in a real way, not just a dictatorship way, some do, then this is the channel for you. Get subscribing, everybody. And let's get into some more news, because there is plenty. And yeah, actually, do let me know, would you take Vlahovic at Manchester United? If we can't get anyone, we can't get rid of the players, we've got no money, and Vlahovic was there still at the end of the window, would you take him? It's a simple question. Would you take Vlahovic right now? That, I feel, is I think important to remember. First of all, is if nobody else comes off. I'm not going to say compare him to Ekitike or Gyokeres. I don't think he's there. I think he is an option. I think United are covering every single base here. It's good that we've got plan D's and E's as well in this transfer window, and we do get somebody else in. Even if it is Mbeumo and it is Cunha, and then you bring in someone like Vlahovic at the end, it's still better than what we had. And Vlahovic at that price gives us the room to go out and buy another striker next season if our financial situation is better. And that, I think, is where United is at right now, and the structure is at, personally, anyway. Porto are looking to sign Tyler Diblin for just €25 million. That's come from Record Portugal again. The same player, Southampton, reportedly told Manchester United would cost €100 million. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how the transfer window changes as to what country you're going to. Rashford is among the names available to be printed on the new home shirt, but Antony and Sancho are not. That has changed since yesterday. But what number is Marcus Rashford? Because Matheus Cunha is number 10. Interesting. What number will Rashford be? That's a bet to actually have that. Again, we covered Marcus Rashford this morning. His move to Barcelona is all but over, with Nico Williams heading there. Instead, Barcelona will not go in for Rashford if they're bringing Williams in. Where will Rashford go? That, I now think, is rethink time for Marcus Rashford. So it's time to ditch that Marbella hot training camp, Marcus. Get yourself in to your offices or Dwayne Maynard's offices, wherever it is, and start thinking what you are going to do with your life and career, mate, because your life is going to be determined by what you do on that pitch, and you know it is. So he needs to really get thinking on everything that's going on. in his life right now and what's happening on the pitch, more importantly. Let's get a few more comments in. Everybody, keep them coming in. Gyokeres the other week was, I'm in holiday and then I will speak soon. Like, who the hell does he think he is? He don't want us. He wants Arsenal. He can go do one for me. Gyokeres has not rejected Manchester United. That's come out from Fabrizio Romano. He wants Champions League. He didn't want it to be leaked out. He didn't want it to come out in the press. He basically, and you can say this is the cover-up if you want, but just to go over what we did say at the top of the show, so everyone who is just coming in now is aware, Gyokeres wants Champions League before anything, and then he'll make his mind up if he can't get Champions League. I don't think he's keen on Italy, and if Arsenal don't come in for him, and Arteta gets his man, who is Benjamin Sesko, then Gyokeres may actually go to Ruben and say, I want to go to United. We don't know yet. But United are not in for waiting around. That price on Ekitike of 60 to 63 million now is a lot more appealing. A lot more appealing for Manchester United, because he now will cost Manchester United less than Rasmus Højlund, significantly less than Rasmus Højlund in a PSR payment plan. And that is, like we've said many a times before, the ultimate for United. It's the costs. And you can imagine, if, for instance, if we were a season on and United were letting go of Harry Maguire, letting go of Casemiro, and their finances were off the books, United would have been able to go out and get Ekitike no problem, because there's room in PSR for them. With Casemiro gone, that opens up a big space for Manchester United financially. No, they're not going to make a deal like they did before by buying someone for 60 million and giving him over 300 grand a week wages. You're probably looking at someone like Ekitike coming in for 60 million, who has got another 10 years in his legs, and he's going to be on, what, a quarter of the wages, a third of the wages that Casemiro is on. It's a lot cheaper for Manchester United. In fact, for the package that Casemiro is on, United could in fact bring in 2 players. That's how much we're paying for Casemiro at the moment. It's absolutely ludicrous. Let's keep things moving along. What do you think about Malaki Fofana? And we talked about him earlier on. I did a video on that, on Manchester United's position on him. Unable again to move on players like him. And Liverpool now looking like they could steal him for him and take him. Because United cannot get rid of their players. Stuck is where we're at right now. Stuck with these players. They don't want to move because of the wages that they're on, the contracts that they're on. The agents are pushing them and making sure that they stay at Manchester United. And I just think that this, again, for us, for all of the negative thoughts and vibes going around at the moment, which I can understand, just a little reminder again. I keep on saying it, I know, but it isn't going to be easy. It isn't. But yes, lots of players that would come to United is the tone of this video, but can't. Not because we can't afford them. It's just we haven't got the room for them. We could afford these players, but we need to get rid of other players first of all. It makes no sense in bringing players in if Ruben's going to be stuck with a massive squad when there's no chance of rotating players. It's just going to cause unrest within Manchester United's training camp, and it's just a world that you just don't want to be in. And for Ruben to have such an important season ahead of him right now, he needs as little issues on the side as possible to deal with. And I think that's also something that United are very, very keen on getting done this summer. I would like to see what the plan for Malaki Fofana is. Surely it's a wing-back. It would have been wing-back. I described it as a wing-back. He's two-footed. He plays left and right, predominantly on the left, but he is an inverted winger for Lyon in a front three, slash further back. And again, he's a fantastic ball carrier and someone completely different than what Manchester United have actually got right now. Another option, it would be nice. And again, if United were in a better position, someone like that would be a brilliant signing to make. But Liverpool are looking at him right now. And that just shows you where Liverpool are compared to Manchester United. On Football Talks earlier on, I was talking about Liverpool's situation and where they are. And you compare Liverpool to Manchester United right now. Liverpool are buying players, or looking to buy players to bring into their squad. And them same players they are looking to bring into their squad, other teams are looking to bring in to their first teams and improve their first teams. So it shows you the difference where Liverpool are at compared to United. And that's what we've got to catch up. There are several stages to get to that point, which is why, going back to what Omar Barada said, we're not winning the league in 2028. We could if everything went perfect, but the reality tells you not a chance. Add another 2 years onto that, and I think you might be talking closer. But nobody's thinking Manchester United are anywhere near that title within the next 3 years. Champions League football has to be. Otherwise, we're not going to see Ruben Amorim. But winning it, I'd need to see miracles. I'd need to be fully convinced that Manchester United are in the Champions League next season, first of all, and then we'll have 2 seasons to build on that to maybe mount a challenge for the title. But again, like Europa League next season, I think is the baseline. That's par for Manchester United next season. Anything below that, you're into the bogeys and double bogeys, aren't you? And that's Amorim gone. I don't think. And like I said, he might get a little bit of leeway if we don't actually bring in the amount of players that we need. But still, I think Manchester United, if we get rid of the players that we're talking about tonight and we bring in the right players, then a lot more will be expected of Ruben. Especially now he's got a full pre-season to work with these players as well. Again, rocking the purple shirt link will be in the live chat and the description. Some of the mods will drop the link. If you want a shirt like this, the link will be in the live chat in just a moment's time. I'll pin it up as soon as the mods drop it in there, everybody. So yes, get on to where I got my shirt from. Absolutely brilliant. Loads of selections to get it. Loads of people have been asking me about the purple one and some of the other retros we've been wearing. All on the link that is coming up in the live chat, everybody. So get your deal there. Let's get a few more comments in as well. As soon as United came calling, Cunha jumped. The others were wasting their time. A favourite with me immediately. Of course, you're always going to jump onto players that are all for Manchester United and are willing to turn down everybody to go to Manchester United. We are incredibly lucky to have that player in our squad. We did well to actually get a player in like that. Yes, with the way that he was operating and wanted to only go to United, that deal was made easier, but still, we've got him. And that's all we need to worry about and think about. Not worry, but look forward to. Right, let's run through the other news and transfer situations that are developing around Manchester United now. Another one here on Football Insider talking about Mason Mount. Manchester United being open to selling Mason Mount. United are now in a position where they are willing to listen to offers for Mason Mount. It is claimed that there is a possibility now that Mount could be sold despite regaining his fitness for the Reds this season. MEN Sports have previously reported that United are willing to listen to offers for any of the players this summer. Again, Mason Mount leaving United is just under that bracket of everybody can go if the right price comes in. Nothing specific, nothing in particular on him, as in somebody's in for him. It's just that if someone did, by chance, come in and want to offer Manchester United 40 million quid at this point, United would probably say, yes, you can go. I think it's roundabout with Mason Mount and what we paid for him. I think if someone came in with like 35 million, United would accept that and get him off the books. Because again, it's another big wage gone for Manchester United. But I think that's where we're at right now. Manchester United have reportedly added Gabriel Sara to the transfer list after following and watching the Galatasaray player. Fotomak, a Turkish online sports newspaper, also credits Inter with interest in the midfielder. His club are reputedly willing to begin negotiations at around 30 million euros, which is 26 million pounds. Again, another make-weight player. Not keen. Quickly, I forgot to mention, no, I did actually mention it before, but for everybody, when I was talking about Gyokeres and the possibility that this deal isn't dead because of his decision to want Champions League, it still could be dead because Sporting are demanding and not budging from 68 million quid for Viktor Gyokeres. That, I think, is going to send Manchester United looking elsewhere, and why we are so keen on the likes of Hugo Ekitike as it stands at the moment. There is nothing else that interests Manchester United. They will not budge on that price, and because of that, United have moved away and would only come in if that price came down by at least 10 million. I think that's where Man United's valuation is. If it was at 60, there might be a deal. But right now, Manchester United, with a player that is still waiting for Champions League opportunities and pre-season knocking on the door, with Ruben wanting to get to work quickly, Ekitike is miles ahead of Viktor Gyokeres now when it comes to what Manchester United are looking for this season. So this pre-season, that I think is also something just to remember as well. But we did talk about the update on Bryan Mbeumo as well. Talks are still positive, and apparently the gap between Manchester United and Brentford is closing, and we can expect something to happen quite soon. You could say it's a very similar update on Bryan Mbeumo. Nothing much has changed, but at least the talks are still positive. I think we can say that that is a positive. And clutching for positives in the transfer situation right now. Look, it was always going to be a tough summer. Andreas with a super chat says, is C and Mbeumo, Cunha and Mbeumo, and a striker good enough for top 8? Yeah, I think it is. I think Manchester United can get top 8 easily. Top 6, I think, with... I'll say this again. If United get the 2 10s in, a good striker, and then we get a goalkeeper in, I still feel we have got enough without Champions League football or any European football to get back to the Europa League next season. I really do. Because United have never had so fewer fixtures ever. By the way, talking of fixtures, we are doing an extended show tomorrow morning. The 8 o'clock show starts at 8, as always. But we will be staying around and waiting for that live fixture announcement. 9 o'clock it's coming. So you can expect a hour-long show tomorrow morning, everybody, with all of the news. Plenty of chance for you to have your say. And obviously, we'll talk a little bit about them fixtures, which are dropping tomorrow. That's going to be interesting. There's been loads of people predicting and saying that this is a leaked fixture list. This is what it's going to be on the when they're announced tomorrow. It's all crap and bollocks. Some people have even specifically put the times in for the fixtures. There's no TV times yet. If there's no fixtures, then they cannot make TV slots yet. So they're all false. Ross with the super chats. Are they talking deals now in preparation for the rollover July 1st? Will it be quiet until then? I don't think it's going to be quiet, mate. Because I think you can make deals and then register players in July. So still think the next 2 weeks are going to be barnstormers. And do you know what? Tomorrow, I think obviously everything starts to ramp up. The fixtures come out. We're then another step closer to the season starting again. And let's not forget, we've got less than 2 weeks now till we're actually in July and players are training again. So first week of July, the players are back. Less than 2 weeks. That's what we're looking at right now. That's the situation in front of us. And I think, obviously, Ruben will be back earlier and then questions start getting asked. I touched on that the other day, actually, in terms of Ruben coming back earlier. But, hey, look. I think that Manchester United's preparations for the new season will be the best that we've had, even with the nightmares that are going on with certain players at the club right now. But still, I think we are going to be in a better place. We're surrounding ourselves with better quality characters within United. I just hope that we get Bryan Mbeumo done before pre-season. I do. I hope we can get that deal finalised and done, and he is ready to go. Because to have Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha on that tour, I think would be a blessing. Let's just say that for Ruben Amorim, to have 2 big players that we know are going to feature and play in that first 11. I think that's a big thing for Ruben Amorim. I do, and that pretty much is your updates, everybody. That is your updates. Thank you everybody for being part of the show. Please give the video a like on the way out. That might get us closer to that 500 live like mark. We will be back at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Special tomorrow as well, with all them fixtures coming out. So yes, be ready for that first thing in the morning. Thank you mods again in the chat. Links to the shirts in the live chat as well there. Go grab a shirt at a reasonable price. Similar to this one. Everyone loves the purple one. And that's all us. And that's all us. And that's us all done, everyone. Enjoy your evening, whatever you're up to. If anything does break, I'll have it covered as always. But until then, I will see you all 8 o'clock tomorrow. Have a great evening. And yes, try to stay positive. That's the word. But get your comments in anyway. Give the video a like. Make sure that you please do hit that subscribe button. We want 90k before the start of the season. That is our target. We're already marching towards it. Thanks everyone again. I will see you